Welcome back to my haunted library. It's Regina. Today I'm going to be doing my July wrap-up.
It's wrap-up. It's a wrap-up.
So here are all the books that I read for the month of July. I read 6 books and a very kind of eclectic mix of indie fiction, a couple nonfiction books, some horror paperbacks from hell, and a couple other things. So let's begin. The first book I read was from a booktuber. I'm trying to read, I don't know, once a month, but at least when I can, an independent book. I don't want to make any promises, but I'm trying to be supportive of my fellow indie authors and read independent work. That means like self-published work by other booktubers or people that I've met on Facebook or Wattpad. Yes, I'm back on Facebook. I'll put my link down below. I was off it for over a year. So now I'm back on, just really kind of trying to stay away from political arguments or that kind of thing, but just kind of stick to reading and writing, which is what I'm trying to keep my interest focused on. So the first book I read was The Scarlet Reaper, The Architects of the Gifted by Cam C. Wolfe. Cam is, and I'll post his link below, is a really fun and quite adorable booktuber who I've been following for a while. And I've been wanting to read his book. And I finally read the first one, and I really enjoyed it. It's very entertaining. I mean, it does have the markings of like a first novel in a way, but you can see that there's a lot of talent there, and I had no trouble following the story or getting caught up in it. It's very action-packed. So I really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to reading the next book in his series. Next up was Thin Air by Ann Cleeves, a Shetland Island mystery, number 6. This was the first Shetland Island mystery I had read, and I don't even know how it ended up on my shelf. I think I just picked it up at the bookstore one day because I really thought the cover was pretty, and it really is. And then I watched a couple episodes of the television series on Netflix. I think it was Netflix. And I really enjoyed it. It's very atmospheric. I loved the Shetland Island is kind of like its own character. And I would definitely pick up another one of these books at the library, perhaps. Keep watching the show when I can. I enjoyed it. It was kind of like a nice, cozy mystery. Nothing that kept me up at night or, haunted my dreams, but I enjoyed it. Next was one of my paperbacks from hell, Blood Music by Jesse Pritchard Hunter. Kind of pleasantly surprised by this book. I thought this book was really well done, and I did a whole video about it, which you can check out on my channel. Next up was The Longest Night by J.N. Williamson. I also did a whole video about that. I didn't like this one as much, despite its fantastic cover. So I gave that one, I think, 2 stars on Goodreads. You can follow, if you like, my reading habits on Goodreads, or follow my author page as well on that site, and I'll follow you back. The next book I read was a nonfiction memoir called Blackout, Remembering the Things I Drank to Forget by Sarah Hepola. Hepola. I don't know if I'm pronouncing her last name correctly. She is a journalist who wrote this book about her own really horrendous experience of being an alcoholic who would have these blackouts. Now, this is not the first drinking memoir I've read. I've read a couple other ones. It's kind of its own genre, and particularly for women. And I think that this book and the other ones that I've read really bring up a good point. And that's really looking at today's women's relationship with alcohol. This book really shows how something that can start out as maybe just like a fun thing or something that's more recreational can become extremely destructive. And then the next book I read was kind of along the same lines of destructive habits. And it's weird how I got to this book, but it's called Psychopath 3 by Jackson MacKenzie. This was actually cheaper for me to buy on Amazon Prime. So it came in like a day. I read it in a day. And how I got to this is I was doing a blog post about different types of villains, and I'll put a copy of it down there. And I was looking at psychopathic villains and things like this in literature and film. So in just Googling that and reading about that, I came upon this book. And a lot of people were talking about this book. And it's like a self-help book in a way for people who have been in really toxic relationships. And it's not like a psychological expert, like he's not a doctor. He's just a man who went through this. And he writes with a lot of honesty and candor and humor. When I was reading this, I really felt like this guy is like a friend, you know? Like he's so relatable, and someone that I felt like, he's writing about these things that was exactly how I reacted to them. And then I saw he mentioned in the book that he was his Myers-Briggs personality type was the same as mine, which is an INFP, I think it is, which is like introverted feeling. I don't know. I'll put it up there. I don't remember the whole thing. Now, of course, we're all like a mix of a lot of different things, but I thought that was interesting because I was like, God, this is making so much sense to me. I really understand where he's coming from. And then when he wrote that, I was like, oh, well, maybe that's why. So maybe our type is just a little more vulnerable to that kind of toxic person. I don't know. So that was my reading adventure for July. So thanks for checking in, and make sure you subscribe if you haven't already, and leave a comment and let me know what you've been reading for the summer. So thanks for stopping by my haunted library, and I'll see you soon. Bye.